I'm Randy Buchler. I live here at Shady Grove Farm with my wife, Libby Buchler, and my two children, Hayla and Tayan Buchler. After our daughter, Hayla, was born in 2001, we decided to move back to Michigan to be close to family. We started to fulfill our dream of living this self-sustainable lifestyle by putting in a garden in 2002 and getting some chickens in 2003. In August of 2009, we received a letter from Forsyth Township stating that we were in violation of zoning in regards to agricultural activity. Basically, we're being told that we have to get rid of the chickens and the sheep. That's what the township's goal is. They're ultimately asking us to change our way of life, which we feel we have a constitutional right to live. We were pretty caught by surprise, I guess, and somewhat in shock that we wouldn't be allowed to do that with the amount of property that we have. They were concerned about water pollution in the lake, which I understand that concern, I do. So we took it upon ourselves to have the lake water tested and our well water tested, and everything came back fine. They gave us 16 days to respond to the violation notice. And so we responded, and from there we ended up having to follow up at a township meeting where our case was discussed.
Need a motion then to go ahead and would you take action on Buchler? Is that what you want?
We have come to the end of negotiating and trying to change the practices out there on that property. I have no other option but to take them to court.
Need a motion to have the attorney take the Buchlers to court?
I would make a motion.
We supply eggs to the Marquette Food Co-op, and we sell the eggs at the Gwinn Farmers Market. So we've tried over the last 2.5 years to come to a compromise or work with the township in some manner to be able to do this. Almost everyone on this west side of the lake signed a petition saying that they were okay with what we do. A lot of the folks in our neighborhood get eggs and produce from us, and they get manure, composted manure from us for their own gardens and flower beds. I offered to help be on a committee to amend the current zoning that's in place, as well as rewrite or write new zoning pertaining to not just the keeping of chickens, but agricultural activities in all zoned districts, so that everybody can do some level of agriculture depending on their size of property. To me, it just makes more sense to work together with your community members to create a place that is beneficial to the entire community. I've thought to myself the whole time, if we were doing something bad, by all means, stop us. But we don't feel that we are. I introduced the Michigan Right to Farm Act to the township and at the Planning Commission meetings, and I explained to them that the Michigan Right to Farm Act is a very strong state law that supersedes local ordinances. And we felt that we were protected by that, and that I didn't really want to have to go there. I wanted to do this in a non-combative way, but I felt like I had no choice but to bring that up.
The Michigan Right to Farm Act has stated very clearly that farming is a protected activity, and not only does the act itself say that, there is substantial case law interpreting the Michigan Right to Farm Act, indicating that the Buchler's activities are protected under the law, and that zoning cannot override the state laws. That's a basic tenet of law. And that's exactly what Forsyth Township is trying to do.
It's time that policies start being changed in these local municipalities to accommodate the changes that are happening in the world. And with the way the economy is heading and the food crisis and the possible food takeover by Monsanto companies and stuff like that, without people like us standing up for the small farmers, we'll lose total control of our food system. If policies changed, we can get more and more small family farms to participate and create local food systems. You know, we need to create a resiliency in these communities. And, you know, if peak oil stuff continues to happen and all of a sudden food can't be trucked in from California, what are people going to do? You know, you can't just go to your local grocery store and get food if it's not coming on a semi.
I think that if people want to support this case, one of the best things we can do is educate the public about farming and the necessity for having resilient local food networks and making the connection between food and farms.
We're trying to educate our community on the importance of creating this local food system. And I think that our small farm can be a perfect example of how we can achieve that in a very positive way with minimal impact to surface waters or the environment in general, and do things as good stewards of the land.
If Randy and Libby lose this case, that would mean that every farmer in Michigan could be subject to local zoning ordinances that could severely limit or preclude farming activities in local areas. That's exactly what the Michigan Right to Farm Act set out to avoid, so that people who are farmers can rely on this act knowing that they can carry out farming activities responsibly in the state of Michigan. That's the whole point of the Right to Farm Act.
If people really want to help and be supportive, they can contact Forsyth Township and let them know of their concerns. Talk to the township supervisor and express in a positive way your support for Shady Grove Farm, not in a negative way against the township. You know, in order to get anywhere with this, we all need to remain positive and focus on the positive things that are happening. And ultimately, I think that there'll be a positive outcome. What I would like to see happen is ultimately a Michigan Right to Farm court decision in favor of us, so that there is no gray area. It's put out there by a judge in the court of law that we have the right to continue farming. I think it's very possible for people to be able to open their minds enough to see the good in what we're doing. It's really important that people, instead of just sitting back and thinking to themselves, oh, we really support them, they need to step up and they need to voice their opinions. And it's time that everybody starts standing up for our rights, because if we lose them, we're just backpedaling, and eventually we're going to have no defense at all. So we need to take advantage of these opportunities, and we need to do it right now. Now is the only time, because if this doesn't work, it's too late.